Ooh, that's a good little tease right there. The Wicked Witch of the West in this movie is going to be in here, so it's going to be very interesting to see how this plays out in the movie. I mean, that was an intimidating shot right there, and surely they won't ruin that by making this the actual full look at the Wicked Witch look like one of the funniest fucking things I've ever seen in my entire life. You gotta be kidding me. We'll talk about that as we go along here, but welcome to Time About the Movies, and yeah, as you can tell, we're kind of just going into the show already, mostly because we only have 2 movies to look at today for March 8th, 2013, but the biggest of the 2 new releases we have here is Disney's latest big-budget spectacle, and that is Oz the Great and Powerful, described as a spiritual prequel to the 1939 classic The Wizard of Oz. And then this one you have James Franco playing Oscar Diggs, a deceptive magician who arrives in the land of Oz and encounters 3 witches, Theodora, Evanora, and Glinda, all played by Rachel Weisz, Mila Kunis, and Michelle Williams. I think I got the names mixed up on Rachel Weisz and Mila Kunis' characters, but I know that Michelle Williams plays Glinda in this, but I'll figure it out as we go along here. Oscar is then enlisted to restore order in Oz while struggling to resolve conflicts with the witches and himself. So, this is a movie that I really enjoyed when it came out. I know a lot of people were kind of mixed on it overall, but I actually really enjoyed the hell out of this movie. I thought it was a ton of fun. For a prequel to The Wizard of Oz, Sam Raimi did a pretty good job on this film overall. And I really was one of those people that I'm not a big fan of prequels overall. I mean, I didn't like X-Men Origins Wolverine. I hated the Star Wars prequels, except for the 3rd one until we got to the very end. And I'm one of the few people that didn't like X-Men First Class. I did like Rise of the Planet of the Apes, though, and coincidentally, James Franco was in that movie, and in here, he actually is really good in this film as well. I mean, I thought he was pretty good playing Oscar in here. You know, you don't really get into his character fully on in the beginning when you find out he's kind of like a hound dog, you know, just going for the latest tale around him. But, you know, once he gets sucked up into that tornado and taken to Oz, you do kind of follow him along for the rest of the way. And he does become more and more likable as the film goes on here. I gotta say, the 2 most memorable characters in this movie, actually there are 3 very memorable characters in this, but you know, you got Zach Braff and Joey King in here playing, you know, Finley the monkey, and you also see Zach Braff early on in the movie as an assistant to James Franco's character, and Joey King playing the China girl. And, you know, the China girl's backstory really is very damn tragic in this. Like, when you finish that story, you just have that look. You're listening to the story, and then when it's all over and done with, just like, Jesus Christ, man. I mean, it's a depressing story here. I mean, this doesn't quite go into Return of Oz dark territory, but it comes pretty damn close when you really think about it. But, you know, Brass Finley does have a lot of really good moments in here, and I'm glad to see that he has a good film role after all these years, you know. Garden State was his big breakout after his success on Scrubs, and then his career kind of went down the toilet overall, and he was kind of like Josh Radnor before Josh Radnor did it. You know, Garden State is a great movie. I've talked about that long enough, but I'm glad to see that there's another good movie with him in it, and nothing like his bad films like The Last Kiss and also The X. But back to this movie here. Of the 3 witches, Michelle Williams' Glinda, I think, is one of the strongest characters in the movie. This is actually one of my favorite female characters of recent memory. I mean, I just love this character for the way that she shows up in this. It's mostly because of Michelle Williams really putting her all into this performance. And you do buy into her chemistry with James Franco overall. And I really did like her a lot in this easily. You know, Rachel Weisz is doing fine in here. And then you get to Mila Kunis, which, yeah, let's go ahead and let's just kind of touch on the elephant in the room here. You know, Mila Kunis, I'll give her credit. The first part of the movie, I thought she was good. I thought she actually was doing a commendable job in this, playing the woman that's going to turn into the Wicked Witch in here. But then she turns into the Wicked Witch, and then it's when things go seriously downhill. The transformation of her turning into the wig is one of the witches. Her turning into the Wicked Witch is one of the funniest things I've ever seen. Like, when she's actually the witch, she's really overplaying that role way too much. I mean, granted, yeah, the original Wicked Witch was overplaying it too, but you know, it's the 1930s. You can kind of accept it for that, but and she also knew how to settle down at points. In this, it's far too overplayed in nearly every bit of dialogue. Once she becomes the Wicked Witch, is nothing but her just speaking loud words, or as Brick Tamland said, loud noises. Like, that's exactly what this character does throughout the course of the movie. Once she turns into the Wicked Witch, it's just kind of like, what are we doing here? Like, you know, you started off on a high note, on a good note here at the beginning, but then you just kind of went to this, you know, let me just do loud noises so I can wake the kids up in this movie theater, and I'm gonna do it while it looks threatening, which you do not look threatening at all. I mean, I'm sorry to dwell on this, but she does not look threatening as the Wicked Witch whatsoever. The facial expressions they give her, I can't believe someone looked at that and said, oh, that's good, keep it in there. But I mean, other than that, that's really my only other main flaw with the film. I mean, everything else about it I thought was pretty good. I thought the script was well done. Mitch Kapner, David Lindsay-Abaire did the script for this, and they did a good job steering away from the typical cliches, like, you know, the liar reveal. That was actually the reason why I kind of like Glinda in this, because Glinda knew that Oz was never the wizard early on, but she's never angry with it. She's never angry at him for being that, and I like the fact that she's not the typical female character who gets overly angry when somebody lies to her and everybody goes in their separate corners. No, they figure it out, and she's kind of like, okay, whatever. We still need your help though. But yeah, I like the fact that she isn't the witch she was expecting, but she's sticking with him along the way here, and I thought that was actually a good hook overall, and something that really should be done more in movies with the whole lie reveal cliche. You can do that without having the movie stop, so these characters can go their separate ways before we actually know they're going to get back together at the end of it. It's just like, I mean, the visuals overall are really good. I love the visual look of the film. You see it there in the trailer early on, where you see like the beginning of the movie in the typical in the same format as the original film, like it's in the, you know, the original full screen form. And then as soon as the tornado comes in and it expands into color, that continues into the movie and it becomes this widescreen landscape. It's very well done. It's a very well done effect overall. And I really love the fact that they did that in this. I mean, this is a really good movie. I really enjoyed the hell out of it. It's a good story, amazing visuals, great characters, just an overall fun experience overall. The 3D works very well. The movie's well-paced. It knows not to pad down a classic and modern enough. It just gives you a fun adventure. You know, the year overall has been kind of rough, but this is definitely one of the first few highlights of the year we've had here. I mean, we've had some good movies, but in terms of like these big fantasy epic blockbusters that we're going to get here, this is actually going to be one of the better ones, because, you know, we just had Jack the Giant Killer, and in a couple months now we're going to have the big summer sequels that will eventually disappoint us, but this one definitely did not. I actually really enjoyed the hell out of Oz the Great and Powerful, a lot of that, more so than I did before. I think it is a good movie overall, and with Wicked for Good coming up, it's a good time to watch it again. I mean, it's definitely worth it. I would definitely say that Wicked is the better of the two movies, obviously, but Oz the Great and Powerful is pretty good too. So then let's get to the other movie we have this week, and that is Dead Man Down.
They killed my wife. They killed my daughter.
They killed my wife, they killed my daughter, they killed my son, they killed my cat, they killed my dog, they killed my fish, they killed my hopes and dreams, they killed my fucking car. I mean, haven't we heard these lines done much better in better movies besides this? I mean, not a very good sign for going into the beginning of this movie here, but in this film you have Colin Farrell playing Victor, a rising gangland player who's infiltrated the crime empire run by ruthless kingpin Alphonse, played by Terrence Howard, with the single purpose of making Alphonse pay for destroying his once happy life. As he meticulously orchestrates his vengeance from his high-rise home, Victor watches and is watched by Beatrice, played by Noomi Rapace from The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, which, coincidentally, this film is directed by that person who made the original The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo with Rapace's Lisbeth Salander. She's a mysterious young woman who lives in the apartment across from his. On the surface, a fragile woman-child, Beatrice sees with a rage of her own. When she uncovers Victor's dark secrets, she threatens to expose him unless he helps her carry out her own campaign of retribution. Each fixated on avenging the past, they devise a violent and cathartic plan that could change the world forever. Beatrice is kidnapped by Alphonse towards the end, and it's a race against time to save her. This is also written by J.H. Wyman, who, of course, you know from shows like Fringe and Almost Human. I mean, he's done a lot of stuff before this, too, but most people know him for his work on Fringe and all that. Fringe is a great show overall, but this is also a WWE production, which is very odd because, as far as I know, there is nobody in here. Well, okay, I take that back. There is a couple people in here from WWE. Wade Barrett, Stuart Alexander Barrett, if you will. Is Luis da Silva one, or is this somebody else? No, I guess not. I think of the people in here. Yeah, I think Wade Barrett is the only one in here that's a WWE member, and you know, this movie isn't terrible, but it certainly isn't a good movie either. And I think the biggest problem with it is it feels like it's trying to be too much like a new generation's Rear Window, and Rear Window overall is one of Alfred Hitchcock's greatest classic movies of all time. But this, it feels like it's trying a little too hard to be a much more intense and much more engage in enthralling Rear Window remake for a new generation, but it's also throwing in a little bit of True Romance in there, some old Quentin Tarantino stuff like Pulp Fiction. Like, you definitely get a sense that they're trying to copy all these other movies and try to make something original with it, but it's just not there with this movie, unfortunately. And give the actors overall credit in this. They're doing the best they can in here. You got Dominic Cooper in here too, as well as Isabel Hubbard and also F. Murray Abraham. So there is a good cast overall involved in this project, but once again, a good project, a good cast overall, can't really save a script if it's not really being helped out here by the people who are writing it. And yeah, we've just kind of seen this stuff done before in so many other better movies overall. And what you get here is a film with its intentions in the right place, but unfortunately, it just doesn't deliver on what it promises in the end. You feel kind of let down about it once it's also over and done with. So take that for what you will. So anyway, that is Dead Man Down for you. And thus, with all that said, we wrap up another episode of Time About the Movies, and just when you think we're getting to all the good movies again, here's a weekend of some pretty lackluster films overall, including some of the films I consider the worst of the year, including Halle Berry starring in the thriller that she's way too good of an actress to even be involved in this, The Call, which is a movie that is so badly put together, you will not believe how this movie plays out overall. But we also have a star-studded comedy, Misfire, with Jim Carrey and Steve Carell, along with James Gandolfini in this as well. The incredible Burt Wonderstone. We also have another A24 release with James Franco in it, along with a couple of other notable names in here, Spring Breakers, and also the latest film from Hayao Miyazaki in Studio Ghibli, from Up on Poppy Hill. So 4 films to take a look at overall. We'll get at least one good movie out of this, maybe 2. I can't remember if I like Spring Breakers or not, but we'll touch on those films coming up tomorrow on the show, so stay tuned for that. But with all of that said, thank you so much for watching this, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please go ahead and do me the honors of hitting that like button, that subscribe button, and that notification button. Also, don't forget to check out our playlist, and don't forget to check out the previous episode we did. So, with all that said, whether it's in the past, the present, or the future, I will see you at the movies. Take care.